All right, so the next problem, what we're going to do is we're going to try to figure out what is the value of tangent of 11 pi over 6. Okay, that's what we're trying to figure out. So I just want to remind you guys that on the unit circle, I mean, people have memorized this stuff, but I don't memorize it. I've memorized the triangles and then I find the value. But I just want to kind of review a couple of things. One, things are measured in pi or degrees. So if I start here, remember this is 0 degrees here. So if I start here and I rotate around, that's 180 degrees. But 180 degrees is also equal to pi, right? So then what is pi over 6? Well, pi over 6 is really just 30 degrees. And so 11 pi over 6, really, you can reduce that. It's really, how do I, 11 over 6 actually reduces to 1 and 5/6. Now what that means, let me draw that a little better. What that means is it's almost 2 pi. So 2 pi then would be 1 full circle. If 180 degrees is that, so if I rotate all the way around, that's 2 pi. 1 full circle is 360 degrees. Actually, I should probably write it. Allergies. 360 degrees is equal to 2 pi. So we're almost at this times pi. So it's almost 2 pi. So it's 1/6 short of pi. So that means I'm going to rotate around here and I'm going to stop 1/6 of pi right here. Well, remember, pi over 6 is 30 degrees. So really what I'm doing is I'm saying 360 minus 30, which will give me 330 degrees. Or I could think of it as 2 pi minus pi over 6 gives me 11 pi over 6. But on the unit circle, here's my answer right here. But really, I could do this, I can find the answer without how do I word this? Without using a calculator, but we're going to use a calculator ultimately. So what does this mean? Well, this means that I have a triangle that lives in the 4th quadrant, right? Where this angle here is 30 degrees, right? So this is my little triangle, like here. And this is the opposite side over here. So this is the opposite because it's across from the 30-degree angle. This is the hypotenuse because it's across from the 90-degree angle, and the one that's left over is the adjacent. Now the opposite is going to have a negative value. Okay. Well, if it's a 30-degree, I already know that this is going to be 1, 2, root 3. So if I want to know what tangent of 11 pi over 6 is, I just need to know what SOHCAHTOA tells me, right? SOHCAHTOA. TOA means tangent is equal to the opposite over the adjacent. Okay? So what's the opposite? The opposite is 1. The adjacent, it's actually -1 over the square root of 3. Well, remember that I'm going to have to take and multiply that by the square root of 3. So when I'm done, I get the root of 3, the negative root of 3 over 3. Now, I'm going to pull up my fancy calculator and see if I'm close. Well, actually, they want us to leave it as an exact value. Well, let's do it. So when you do this on the calculator, you have to be careful. You got to make sure that you're in the right mode. Okay? So I turn on my calculator, I go to mode. Whenever it says pi, you want to make sure that you're in radian mode. Okay, good, I'm in radian mode. So now I'm just going to put tangent 11 pi divided by 6. Now I'm going to get a crazy decimal, and it'll be negative. Well, I believe that my answer is the square root of negative root 3 over 3. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, in parentheses, put negative the square root of 3 divided by 3. Now, if I've done everything correctly, I should get the same number, and I do. So the correct answer is negative root 3 over 3. Now, how would you find that answer using the unit circle? Well, it's kind of complicated, but it's an identity. Tangent of theta is actually the same as sine of theta over cosine of theta. And remember, we said that sine of theta is equal to y on the unit circle, and cosine of theta is equal to x. So that means tangent of theta would be equal to my y value, which is negative 1/2 all over root 3 over 2. Now remember, when you divide by a fraction, you multiply by the reciprocal. In other words, that's the same as saying negative 1 over 2 times the reciprocal of the fraction you're dividing by, which would be 2 root 3. The 2's cancel, and I'm left with negative 1 over root 3, and then I get root 3 raised to the root 3. I mean, not raised to the root 3. I multiply that by root 3 over root 3, and then I get the same answer that I got up here, right here. Okay? And that is it for that problem.